Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome learners to another lecture of the Unit 2, that is Economy in the Short Run. And the topic of today's discussion in this lecture is aggregate supply. Just to draw your attention back to what we have done in the previous lectures, we have talked about the ISLM model, we have talked about the derivation of the aggregate demand curve, and all this we have been doing with respect to short run, and we have been discussing the theory of Keynes, which has explained that how the equilibrium of the economy in short run can be achieved. Today we will be concentrating on the topic of aggregate supply, which will be important in understanding the determination of equilibrium price and output in the economy. So, in today's lecture, what we will be discussing is, we will be understanding that what do we mean by aggregate supply, how aggregate supply curve is derived. Then learners, we will be understanding the difference between short run and the long run aggregate supply. Then we will be identifying that what are the factors that can lead to a shift in the aggregate supply curve. So let's move forward with today's lecture. Starting with the concept of aggregate supply, we say aggregate supply is basically a relationship between how much output the firms plan to sell or supply at each level of price. Learners, I would draw your attention here to the fact that this concept of aggregate supply may seem very familiar to you. We have done the supply concept in microeconomics as well. But there, it was only with respect to a particular firm. Whereas, what we are discussing today is that how much all the firms in the economy are willing to supply at various level of prices which have been given in the economy. And how much they will supply will be of course dependent on how much labor they have, how much technology they are using, what type of product they are producing. But the relationship between how much they are willing to supply and the price level is given by aggregate supply. This tabular form relationship between various price levels and the output, when put in a graphical form, will give us a curve, and that curve we define as the aggregate supply curve. So if we want to define aggregate supply curve, we say aggregate supply curve is describing a relationship between each given price level and the quantity of output which the firms are willing to supply. So if we are taking the given price level on the y-axis and the quantity of output the firms are willing to supply on the x-axis, and we join these points, the curve that we get is called as the aggregate supply curve. So, in simple terms, what are we saying? Aggregate supply is giving you a relationship between the willingness of the firms to sell the level of output with respect to the price levels. A graphical representation of this relationship between price level and the output is called as the aggregate supply curve. Learners, you must be again wondering that this similar concept we have done in microeconomics also. And you must be remembering that the curve that you drew using the relationship between supply and price gave you an upward sloping curve showing you that at a higher price level more is supplied. But the construction of aggregate supply curve in macroeconomics is different from the one which you have done in microeconomics. because there is a lot of discussion and there is a lot of divergent opinion amongst the economists as to what should be the shape of this aggregate supply curve. Two schools of thoughts have said they have given their separate views on what should be the shape of this aggregate supply curve. One is what we call as a classical view, which has been propounded by the classical school of thought, which comprises of economists like Marshall, Adam Smith, J.B. Say, who have an opinion that an economy is always in the full employment situation. The J.B. Say law, which we know as the Say's law, what does it say? It says that supply creates its own demand. So the classical have an opinion that whatever is being produced will be sold. Therefore, all the resources which are available in the economy are always employed. Therefore, what does the classical view say? That since whatever is being produced is being sold and all the people who are willing to work or all the resources which the economy has are fully employed, therefore, the aggregate supply curve would be a vertical straight line as you are seeing in this graph below. This blue line of aggregate supply curve, they say classical view therefore says that this blue line, which is a vertical line, is what is an aggregate supply curve. That is, whatever be the price level, the output will remain the same. You see this YF? YF level of output according to classical say that always the economy will be employing all its resources fully, optimally, hence all the resources are fully utilized. So the supply would remain fixed whatever be the price level. So if you see the relationship between price and output, it says that if there is a change in price, the output or the output which the firms will be willing to supply will remain constant. Primarily because all the resources have been fully employed. So you see this aggregate supply curve to be a vertical straight line. What does it show? Again I am repeating, according to the classical view, because all the resources are fully employed, if there is a change in price, the supply will not respond to that. The aggregate supply will not respond to that because firms will not be able to sell more because the resources are fully employed. So with a change in the price level, the supply would remain fixed. This is the classical view because they have an assumption or they try to say that because of full employment of all the resources, the supply would remain constant with respect to price. So you see this aggregate supply curve to be a vertical line. However, Keynes has a very different view on this. If you remember, we have already discussed that Keynes came into picture when it started with the Great Depression in 1930s. When the world economy saw that there was a lack of demand. There were unemployment in the economy. So Keynes came up with this theory that we see an unemployment in the economy. We see that there is unutilized capacity with the firms. Therefore, he said that the supply curve would be something like an inverted L. Because of unutilized capacity with the firms, because resources are still not fully employed, if there is an increase in the demand, we will see firms will be able to supply more, keeping the price constant. So, till the point of full employment is achieved, which we are showing by this YF in this graph, the point blue circle that we see, this is the point of full employment. Till this is achieved, the firms will be able to supply more even though the price is same. But What does Keynes says? That once the economy achieves the full employment level, all the resources that we have are employed, then it might not be possible to increase the aggregate supply by the firms. Then we will see the aggregate supply curve to become vertical. So once you achieve the YF level of output, full employment level of output, Keynes says after that your aggregate supply curve will become vertical. That is, with an increase in price, more cannot be supplied. But before that point, before YF point, we see that without a change in price, any increase in demand will lead the firms to supply more. So, you see that two types of supply curves, aggregate supply curves, have been designed or have been derived by two different views. Classical view, which says because of full employment level of the economy, the firms with the change in price may not be able to supply more because all the resources have been fully employed. So you get an aggregate supply curve which is a vertical straight line. Whereas Keynes, who believed in short run only, he said that because their economy, when there is a depression, when there is a recession, when there is a lack of demand, the resources are not fully employed. A situation of full employment, according to him, is an extraordinary situation. So when there is recession or there is lack of demand, he says that the firms have unutilized capacities available with them. There is less than full employment. Hence, the firms would be able to supply more with the price remaining constant till the economy reaches a full employment level. Once the employment is complete, everybody has got work or there is full employment, we see according to Keynes, the aggregate supply curve to become vertical. So, according to Keynes, the curve would be first, it would remain horizontal, and then after full employment is achieved, it will become vertical. Modern view is what we see these days, which has been widely accepted. This view is a little divergent from Keynes' view. What does this view say? Let us see the curve according to modern view. Now you see a curve which is flattened initially at a particular price level. Then this curve becomes upward sloping. Then it becomes vertical. So there are three ranges in this aggregate supply curve that you see according to modern view, in contrast to the classical view and the Keynes view. Classical view was a vertical aggregate supply curve. Keynes had said that initially the supply curve would remain horizontal and then after full employment it will become vertical. But the modern view is kind of a synthesis of the classical and the Keynes view. What do we see here? We see here that initially your aggregate supply curve according to them is horizontal or it is elastic. Then it becomes upward sloping, and after it becomes upward sloping, after a point of time, the aggregate supply curve becomes vertical. Now let us understand that what do they have to say according to that. Now if you see this relationship, the range is elastic initially, which means that this is a situation when the firms have certain unused capacity with them. Underutilization of resources are there. Therefore, they will be able to supply more or they will be able to increase the real GDP without increasing the price. So, aggregate supply can increase or Y can increase without a change in price. But the intermediate range, which is an upward sloping aggregate supply curve, it shows that with an increase in price, more will be supplied, meaning that we are utilizing our resources, but side by side the prices are also increasing. Then you have an inelastic range which was propounded or which was advocated by classical economics, that once your full employment is achieved, we will not be able to increase the Y or the output. We will not be able to supply more, but the prices will increase. So these three, this synthesis is what is given by modern view. Now let us see this. This particular table will help you to understand the relationship between price and the output or aggregate supply in all the three ranges. In the elastic range, which is a horizontal aggregate supply curve, we do not see a change in price, but we see a change in output. So your Y increases even though the price remains the same, something which was advocated by Keynes. In the intermediate range, we see that the prices are also increasing and the output is also increasing. And in the inelastic range, which was advocated by classical economics, we see that only the prices are increasing and the change in output is very less or it is minimal. So this per type of a aggregate supply curve is what is being accepted these days. That is, we will see an upward sloping supply curve, but a different type of elasticity in each range. So I am sure that you now understand that how difficult it is to derive the aggregate supply curve compared to the supply curve which you had done in microeconomics. Now moving forward. Now as Keynes had explained that why the aggregate supply curve is inverted in classical economics has also explained that why do they think that the aggregate supply curve is vertical? Why is the aggregate supply curve upward is what needs to be explained and what is explained by the modern economists. They have used three theories to explain this relationship of price and aggregate supply, which says that price increases, supply increases. First theory is the sticky wage theory. The second theory is the sticky price theory. And the third theory is the workers' misperception theory. All the three theories are explaining the positive relationship between the price level and the amount of supply the firms are willing to make. Or in other words, they are explaining the upward sloping shape of the aggregate supply curve. So let us understand these theories one by one. We'll start with the sticky wage theory. This theory claims that nominal wages are slow to adjust or they are sticky. That is, the wages that we pay to the labor or to the workers, they are sticky. That is, they do not change very fast in short run. They tend to remain at the same level. Why does this happen? They say that the wages are determined with certain prices expectations and they are generally for long term. Contracts are drawn between the trade unions or the labor unions and the firms, and these wages are decided with certain expectations that the price level will be at a particular range. If, for example, now there is an unexpected change in price level, let us say that the price level increases. With a rise in the price level, this would mean that the real wages will fall. We have already understood the concept of nominal and real, but I will just revise it for you here. Nominal is what you are actually getting in hand, and real means your nominal divided by the price level. So what the sticky wage theory is saying is that the nominal wages are decided in advance and they are generally long-term contracts, so they do not tend to change in short run. Now, if there is an unexpected change in price, in short run, let us say that the price level has increased. Because of the increase in price level, we are not seeing an immediate change in nominal wages, but the real wage will change. That is, real wages, nominal wage divided by the price level, we will see a fall in the real wage. Meaning, that the same for labor has become cheaper for the firms. Since the labor has become cheap, it is cheaper to hire labor. The firms will increase the demand of labor. They will produce more because more people are working, more output will be there. So you see a positive relationship between increase in price level and increase in output. That is your sticky price theory. The second theory which is there is called as the sticky price theory. Sticky price theory says that the firms set the prices of their products in anticipation of a certain price level, and they are resistant to change their price in short run, even if there is a fall in price, or even if there is a fall in price, or even if there is a rise in price. Why does this happen? Because firms in anticipation of a price level fix their prices, print their menus, and if suddenly, let us say, there is a change in price, they are reluctant to change the price or print new menus. One, because it will entail a cost for them, which is called as menu cost. Or second, they do not want to lose the consumer goodwill by changing the prices frequently in short run. So prices, according to this argument, tend to remain sticky. They tend to be in a similar level. So if due to some unexpected change, the prices change, there is a change in price. Let us say the price level in the economy falls. Now the firms are not willing to change the prices in their menu. So their relative prices will be more compared to the other prices of the other commodities. Hence there will be a fall in the demand of their product or fall in the output. So that is what the sticky price theory says, because of which there is a positive relationship between price level and the output to be sold. The third argument is the workers' misperception theory. What does this theory say? That again in the labor market, the workers are being paid nominal wages. Nominal wages are set with a certain price level in mind. So when nominal wages are fixed, there is a particular price level. Now if nominal wages increase because there has been increase in the price level, and workers are under a money illusion, think that their wages have increased without knowing that ultimately the nominal wages have increased because price level has increased, and because of that their real wages are the same. They are not realizing that there is a money illusion. Therefore, with an increase in nominal wages, they would like to supply more of their services. So, more supply would mean more labor are employed, means they will be producing more output. So, higher price level has led them to supply more services, leading to a higher aggregate supply of the goods which they are producing. So according to modern theories, therefore, because of these three, we see the aggregate supply curve to be upward sloping. Now, we will just again differentiate between short-run aggregate supply curve and long-run aggregate supply curve. We have already understood that Keynes, who advocates the analysis of the economy in short run, has said that there is always some unutilized capacity, because maybe the demand is low or maybe it is too high. So in the short run, he says if demand is too low or too high, it is possible for the producer to supply more or supply less than what the potential is. However, in long run, because as per classical economists, there is full employment of the resources, or something which Keynes has also said that once we achieve the full employment, once we go to the potential level of GDP, it is not possible to supply more. Therefore, in short run, we see an upward sloping aggregate supply curve indicating that with the increase in price, we can supply more, or we can supply more even when the prices are same, because the firms have potential to produce more because they have been utilizing less than what was available to them. However, in long run, since everybody is employed or they already we are producing at the maximum potential, it is not possible to increase supply. Hence, the long run aggregate supply curve is a vertical line. These two curves will help you understand this. That is, we have just seen it, the modern synthesis, which says that initially your aggregate supply is elastic. It becomes intermediate, that is price increases, supply increases, and then it becomes vertical. This is what we saw, the modern view, which has synthesized the Keynesian view and some part of classical view. Long run aggregate supply curve is what was given by classical school, which said that because there is full employment, we will be seeing a vertical aggregate supply curve. So this is the difference between short run aggregate supply curve and long run aggregate supply curve. Why has this difference arisen? Because there is a difference in the way we are talking about the macroeconomic situation in the economy. If in short run, as Keynes said, if there is recession, if there is depression, if less resources are employed, it is of course possible to produce more and sell more even when the price is constant. That is, you can increase the output level just by pushing up the demand without changing the price. But after a point of time, we say that your aggregate supply curve becomes rising. Rising means that of course we will see change in output. More output can be sold or more supply can be done, but correspondingly prices would also rise. And then you have a point where all your resources are employed, that is YF, and you see your aggregate supply curve going vertical. Contrast to this view, we see a longer run aggregate supply curve where we are saying that all the resources are fully employed, hence more cannot be supplied and only the change will be in the prices in long run. This is what was propagated, advocated by classical economics. So I'm sure learner, now you appreciate the difference between short run and long run aggregate supply curve and how it is different from the usual supply curve that we see in microeconomics. Now let us understand that what leads to a shift in your aggregate supply curve. What are the factors that can lead to a shift in the aggregate supply curve? First of all, we have just said that long run aggregate supply curve is talking about that level of output where all resources are being fully utilized or they are being optimally utilized. That is, we have seen the potential level. That is, whatever was available to us, what are the output resources that economy has? Resources can be physical resources, resources can be capital resources, or resources can be human resources or technical know-how. So all the resources have been put to optimal use in long run. And this is a situation which is depicted by long run aggregate supply. That all we are producing that level of output where all the resources are being used optimally. Now, any change in the availability of these resources will definitely alter how much you can produce. I hope you agree with me that if we have a given level of resources and we have already used at those resources, we are not able to supply more is what we have just seen in the previous slide, that your long run aggregate supply curve was a vertical curve. But if, for example, suddenly there is an increase in your resources which were available to you, what will happen? It will of course alter the long run aggregate supply curve. Right? Now what can change? We say this shift in your long run aggregate supply. Shift means what? Maybe you will be able to produce more, or maybe you will be able to produce less than before in long run. So shift in the long run aggregate supply curve will be taking place because your resources that you were using, their quantity has changed. So this shift may arise because there is a shift or there is a change in labor resources, there is a change in capital resources, or there may be a change in natural resource availability or the technical know-how that you have. That is all the factors of production which any firm uses so that it can produce. If there is a change in the availability of resources which were initially fully employed, if there is a change in quantum of the resources, we will see a change in the long run aggregate supply curve. Now let us see that how this happens. Let us say initially we were at long run LRAS1, long run aggregate supply curve 1, which is shown by this black line. This means that all the resources which were there were fully employed. Now this LRAS will shift because there is a change in the availability of the factors of production. What availability? Let us say land availability has increased. There are discovery of new natural resources which is there. We had, for example, India discovers new oil fields. Of course, more oil will be available because of that. So the firms will be able to produce more than what was there previously because we have found new natural resources with us. So our resource availability has increased. Labor increases. Maybe there is an increase in working population. What we call as demographic dividend in India, that we have more of working population in India. Maybe there is a lot of immigration which has taken place in a country, so more workforce is available for you. Then capital improvement in technology has taken place. We see increased technical know-how. For example, when computers came, we saw so much faster way of doing things because technology has improved. Then maybe entrepreneurial ability. The capital entrepreneurial culture in the economy has changed. That is, for example, you see a lot of startups, more entrepreneurial culture, more people are willing to do their own businesses. So that also increases your overall long run aggregate supply. So any change in the resources which were previously fully employed, when they increase, when the quantum of the factors of production increases, what factors of production? Land, labor, capital or entrepreneurship. Land means any fixed capital, fixed asset which we had. For example, we say new natural resources have been discovered. Of course, we will be able to produce more now using that particular natural resource. More labor force has come into working age, maybe due to immigration or because of the demography of the economy. Better technology, better financial capital, more access to financial capital, access to technology, access to physical capital also increases the amount that the firms can produce in long run. Then entrepreneurship amongst the people of that country increase, maybe because there is an entrepreneurial culture has improved. We see a more free market economy. We see more startups coming in and young people starting to do their own business. Because of this, we will see that your long run aggregate supply curve will shift from LRAS1 to a new LRAS2, which is shown by this blue line. That is, you will see more employment of all the resources. That is the shift in the long run aggregate supply curve, which again we have derived from the classical view. Then what causes a shift in the short run aggregate supply curve? Long run we have seen happens because the factors of production, their quantum has increased. Now why does aggregate supply curve in short run shift? We see a shift in the aggregate supply curve basically because there is a change in the expected prices. There is a change of expectation of prices in future. Maybe the input prices or the raw material prices. You see some change. You are expecting some change in the prices to happen or some expect prices have changed. then there may be a supply shock. We already know that aggregate supply is basically a relationship between what? The price level and the supply. Any factor other than the price of the product or the price level, if it changes, it will lead to a shift in your short-run aggregate supply curve. What factors? Factors which can change apart from the price level. One we are saying is the change in the expected price. That is, you had expected some price, but some other prices are increasing, expected price are increasing, or expected prices are decreasing. Because of this, you are seeing your aggregate supply to change. Or there may be a supply shock. What do you mean by a supply shock? A sudden change or in the availability of your raw material. For example, there is a cyclone. We see some damage happening to your factories, because of which your raw material supply gets hampered. So that's a supply shock which has happened, which is temporary. But for the short run, this supply shock will change the amount of aggregate supply which can be there. Now, let us see this graphically. Let us say this is your SRAS, represents your initial short-run aggregate supply at a price of P1 and the amount of output is Y1. Now, there is a change in the expected price of input. Let us say you are expecting the price of input to increase, or the prices of input has increased. What will happen is that the cost of production will increase. Hence, you see that your short-run aggregate supply curve will shift inwards or leftwards. Similarly, if there is a supply shock, an adverse supply shock, that is, you see, we have just taken an example. Let us say there is a cyclone. There is some natural calamity at that place from where you were expecting your raw material to come. Suddenly there is a fall in the supply of raw material, hence you can supply less because of that. So this leads to a shift of your SRAS inwards to SRAS1. On the other hand, if the expected prices have fallen, your cost of production will fall, hence you will be able to supply more at the same price. So you see your SRAS shifting outward to the green line SRAS2. Again, there is a supply shock. You are seeing more raw material coming in. Again, your SRAS will shift outward. So what we are saying, learner, is that short-run aggregate supply curve can shift inward or it can shift outward, basically because factors other than the price level are changing. What factors other than the price level are changing? The expected prices of your inputs may be changing. There may be a supply shock because of which you are unable to get your raw material at the desired price. Hence, you may not be able to supply the desired quantity, or the same quantity maybe you are able to supply at the higher price. So because of this, you see your short-run aggregate supply curve shifting inward or shifting outward. So now, since we have understood the concept of aggregate supply, we have also seen that what is short-run and what is long-run aggregate supply. It is time that we just refresh our skills of whatever we have understood in today's lecture. Let us start with a simple question, and I request all of you to ponder over it, think over it, and then we will discuss all the answers. So the first question for you learners is, I am giving you a few situations. You have to tell me that what would be the impact of all the situations on the aggregate supply curve. So basically you have to tell that under these situations, how will the aggregate supply curve shift? So the first situation is, let us say that there is an increase in the price of the key input in production, such as oil. If oil is being used as a prominent input in the production process and its price increases, then what will happen to the aggregate supply curve? Second, if in India experiences a wave of immigration, that India sees a lot of people migrating to India, then what will happen to the aggregate supply curve? Third, if there is a severe cyclone damage to the factories located in Gujarat, what will happen to the aggregate supply curve? Think of all the three situations. First of all, think that which type of aggregate supply curve would get impacted, and then think that whether the curve will shift outside or will it shift inside. An increase in the price of key input in production such as oil. Learners, in this situation, it was increasing the price of input, which is oil. So the expected input price has increased. Therefore, we will see that the short-run aggregate supply curve will shift to the left. We have seen it graphically just now, that how SRAS shifts inwards or to the left if the price of the inputs increase. So an increase in price of oil will make your short-run aggregate supply curve shift to the left or inwards. So the impact of this is on the short-run aggregate supply curve. In the second situation, India is experiencing a wave of immigration. India is seeing lot of labor force coming to India. So your guess is right. This will lead long-run aggregate supply curve to change. So because of the increased labor force in supply, this will lead increased output, more people available for employment, hence your long-run aggregate supply curve will shift to the right. A cyclone damage to the factories will act as a supply shock. Therefore, SRAS or short-run aggregate supply curve will shift to the left. So in these three situations, we have seen that the movement of aggregate supply curve takes place because price of input has changed. So short-run aggregate supply curve shifted. You saw labor force coming in. Therefore, long-run aggregate supply curve shifted. It's a positive shock. A severe cyclone damage is a negative shock. Why? Because short-run aggregate supply curve, you will be able to supply less due to this damage. One more question to you learners. What if LRAS will shift to the right? Because of the following, what will cause the LRAS to shift to the right? First situation, if the technological advancement takes place. Second, if there is improvement in education. Third, if new resources are discovered. And fourth, all of the above. So the question before you is, which of the following will cause long-run aggregate supply curve shift to the right? Will a technological advancement lead LRAS shift to the right? Yes, because new technical know-how, we will be able to produce more in long run. Improvement in education, will it lead to a shift of LRAS to the right? Yes, because increased education, better education means better human capital. So we can produce more in long run. Discovery of new resources, will it lead LRAS to shift to the right? Yes, because new resources means you have greater availability of resources. So you will be able to produce more. So the answer, learners, is right. That is D, all of the above. So these questions have helped you to understand that how aggregate supply curve shifts to the right or left. Now, one more question before we summarize. Tell me, to learners, that according to classical theories, what is the shape of aggregate supply curve? Is it perfectly horizontal? Is it flat at first and then rises? Is it perfectly vertical or is it downward sloping? So, what is the shape of aggregate supply curve according to classical theory? Yes, you are right. The answer is C. That is according to classical theory, because there is full employment of resources, the aggregate supply curve is perfectly vertical. Enjoyed this quiz? Now let us summarize our lecture. What we have discussed today is, we have understood that aggregate supply curve is something which is giving us a relationship between output which the firms are willing to supply and the price level in the economy. Then we saw that there is not a single view on how the aggregate supply curve shape should be. Unlike microeconomics, where we had said that there is always a positive relationship between the quantity supplied and price, in aggregate terms, in macro terms, there are divergent views on what exactly should be the shape of aggregate supply curve. Or in other words, at the macro level, if there is a change in price level, whether the firms will supply more, supply less, or they will supply the same. So we saw Keynes' view, we saw classical view, and then we saw the modernist synthesis. Coming to the short-run situation, which was given by Keynes. Why? Because Keynes had said that economy we are talking about only in short run. So in short run, he says because there is unutilized capacity available with the firms, particularly when there is a recessionary phase in the economy, the firms will be able to supply more even when the same price level. Therefore, he said aggregate supply curve is horizontal. After the full employment is achieved, then the aggregate supply curve will become vertical. Or in other words, Keynes said that output in such situation is demand determined and it is not determined by the price level, because price will remain the same since there is unutilized capacity. Any change in demand will lead the firms to produce more or supply more. Then we saw the classical view, wherein they say that because all resources are fully employed, this is just in contrast to what Keynes said. Remember, classical school was there before Keynes came into picture. It was classical school had said that supply creates its own demand and all resources are fully employed because there is flexibility in the market of the prices and wages. Therefore, at the natural situation, there is full employment. Hence, aggregate supply curve is vertical. That is, you will not be able to increase the supply. Only change will be in the price level. So, they had talked about a perfectly vertical curve. Then there was a synthesis by the modern economists which said that initially the aggregate supply curve is something which is inelastic, then it is upward sloping and then it becomes vertical. So we saw a curve which has three types of elasticities built into it. Initially it is elastic, that is price will not change, something which Keynes had said, only output will increase if there is an increase in demand. Then aggregate supply curve is upward sloping, meaning that with increase in price level, more will be supplied. And explaining this, they have talked about three theories: sticky wage theory, sticky price theory, and workers' misperception theory, in which they tried to explain that how with the increase in price level, more output is supplied. And after full employment is achieved, we saw that the aggregate supply curve becomes vertical. So the modern economist view on the aggregate supply curve is basically a synthesis of the Keynes case and classical case, saying that initially aggregate supply curve is horizontal or elastic, becomes upward sloping and then horizontal. And in all the three ranges, we have understood that how price level behaves and how aggregate output behaves. Then we saw the factors which have an impact on the shift in the long run aggregate supply curve. That is, supply side factors such as technological change will lead the country to produce more because it will be able to utilize its available factors of production in more optimal way. Similarly, if there is a resource expansion, human capital availability is there, we see more natural resource, discovery of new natural resources, this will all lead your LRAS to shift outside. Whereas the short-run aggregate supply curve shifts due to the factors other than the price changing. What are those factors? The price of inputs change. There is a supply shock which leads your SRAS to shift inwards or to shift upwards. We have also done a few exercises to see that how LRAS and SRAS shifts. I hope this has been an enjoyable lecture for all of you. Learners, in the next lecture, we will be talking about the interaction of aggregate demand and aggregate supply, and then we will see that how equilibrium output and price level are determined in an economy. Till then, stay safe, stay happy, and happy learning.